Hi, welcome to a special lecture on how to use Google Map API to insert a Google Map into your application. In this lab, we will be using jQuery to add Google Map into our application. Surprisingly, adding Google Map to a web application is pretty straightforward using Google API and jQuery. So you may start by creating a folder. Let's call this Google Map. Wherever you put it, it doesn't matter because this is not a PHP code, so it is just basically JavaScript and jQuery HTML code. So do create a new folder called Google Map, and inside this Google Map, I want you to create a new HTML file and call it Google-Map, and also download the following JavaScript jQuery file from Canvas, jQuery.googlemap. Please do these things before we proceed. Okay, let's proceed. I just downloaded the Google Map solutions from Canvas, which contains the solution code for this lab. And of course, we have here the Google Map file that I had before, which is an empty. Let me open this up. It's just an empty file. I haven't started creating anything yet. You may want to open up Google Map solutions in Notepad++. Right. So let's get started. Now this particular file is an HTML file, so let's start with the HTML opening tag and this HTML closing tag, and then of course we will have the head here and the closing of the head, opening of the body, and the closing of the body. Now in the head, we need to import in certain files that are needed for the Google Maps to work. There are 3 files that are needed. Let's go to the solutions and copy those three lines of importing in the script from external files. Right, so make sure you copy these 3 from the solutions. I will explain to you what they are in a second. Bring them over to between the head, opening of the head and closing of the head. So let's talk about them a little bit. The first file is actually a CDN import from Google APIs. Okay, so these are jQuery files that we are importing in. Okay, so this is the same as the jQuery import that we have done earlier in chapter 21. Now the next 2 imports are for specific JavaScript files that comes with Google APIs. So this one is actually also a CDN provided by Google APIs, but it needs to have a key. Okay, now this key here is my key, but I assume that you won't be really calling Google Maps by high volume, so I'm okay for all of us to use this key. But if you want to use this for your own business or organization, you need to get your own key from Google API. There are some instructions on the web that can help you to get those keys or this particular key for Google API. Pretty straightforward. There's a limit for how many API calls to Google Maps that you can use, or you can call any one time. And if you exceed that limit, then you have to pay. Otherwise, your service will be terminated. Then the third import is actually from a local jQuery.googlemap.js files. This is the one that I asked you to download from Canvas. You need these 3 external imports because they contain files from external sources to help you to use Google Map. Now to create a Google Map in a HTML file, we need to create a placeholder where the code can reside. There are 2 parts to this placeholder. The first one is basically an HTML code. The second one is a JavaScript code that contains jQuery code to bring in the Google Map components. Now I'm just going to go to solutions and copy over. So let's do the first one. So this again is the HTML code which contains a div represented by a div. So let's copy over this line from the solutions and bring it over to our Google Map file. So div id equals map. So again, this ID will be used by our jQuery to identify where this jQuery component will be put into. Style width equals 1000 pixels, the height is 1000 pixels. Obviously, this is the height and the width of the whole Google map that we're going to place on our HTML file. This can be just adjusted as you wish. Then close the div. Okay, so this is the first part. So the second part is a script where we create our jQuery code. We write our jQuery code rather. So let's open with the script, close with the script, and inside here is where we're going to place our jQuery code. So we're going to copy this from solutions. So this jQuery code, let me copy it over first and we will discuss. So jQuery code starts with the function. And inside the function, we have a few attributes. We'll discuss them in a second. So so in this function, we will call the map, which is the identifier here, ID equals map. And then we will call the function called Google Map. So this function will be associated with the Google Map function that exists somewhere from one of these external sources, or probably this jQuery Google Map.js. I'm not sure 100%, but it's from those sources. And then inside here, we set the attributes. So we're going to zoom this 100 times, initial zoom. The coordinates where we are going to show our map. And then the type is a road map. Okay, and that's it. So I'm going to save this and I'm going to run this right now and see what we get. So go to run, go to Chrome. The map appears. So this is a Google Map. Now we don't see anything because it's really kind of zoom in. So we need to zoom out. So we do a minus. There you go. So now it's clearer now. So we are somewhere in Salt Lake City. That's the coordinates. That's what the coordinate was showing. This coordinate here is Salt Lake City. So that's it. Success. This is how we create or embed in a Google Map into your application. So you can control this size as well as the placeholder where you want to put this within your HTML code alongside your Bootstrap code as well. Now, the next thing we're going to do is to show you how to put in markers on Google Map. Okay, let's start by commenting out this jQuery code that we have done for the first Google Map. Let's just note that this jQuery code for the Google Map does not show any marker. So now we're going to do ones with markers. Now if you go back to the solutions, underneath the one that is working, there's another two group of jQuery code that is kind of commented out. Can you please copy them over? Make sure you don't leave out any characters in the code. So copy this over, bring it over to our Google Map file and paste it. So let me just adjust it a little bit, adjust this code a little bit by doing a tap. Okay, so let me explain to you what this jQuery code is doing. Now, start off with function, and then we call the Google Map function. Then we add in the markers. The first marker is here. So in the first marker, we have the coordinates. Okay, so this is actually University of Utah again, the same coordinates that I used earlier, or pretty much the same. Then you can add a URL to the marker so that when the user click on the marker, the user can be directed to this web page. And then it has you can also put an ID for the marker. This is called marker 1. Now marker 2, same code. The coordinates a little bit different. You can change the URL to a different URL. The ID then of course needs to be another identifier. So we call it marker 2. So that's it. So let me save this. Go back to our HTML code as before. Do a refresh. Okay, so this is two markers. Marker 1 here. And then marker 2 here. So this is how we put markers into a Google Map, which is embedded in our HTML application. Success! You learned something new today. Awesome. Have a good one.